So controlled.
Yeah.
It won't get anybody. It won't get You talk me into it.
Please take a sip of your water. You just did what 35 million people in third world countries cannot do, which is why we chose the topic of poor water sanitation.
We are the Sanitizers TRIYS group.
I'm Lily Wheaton. I'm Ella Tidquist.
I'm Jameson Speed.
And I'm Kevin Free.
Global issue. Our global problem is people in developing countries are suffering from death and diseases caused by not having a potable source of drinking water.
Vocabulary: potable, fit, or suitable for drinking.
Sanitation, the development and application of sanitary measures for the sake of cleanliness and protecting health.
Worms. Any disease or disorder arising from the presence of parasitic worms in the intestines or other tissues.
And microbes, a bacterium causing disease and fermentation.
Data. As you can see by our graph, 35 million people on average are affected globally every year from waterborne diseases.
1 out of 8 people in the world do not have access to fresh drinking water. 1.5 billion people in the world suffer from death and diseases caused by poor water sanitation.
Approximately 12 million people suffer from typhoid each year. 4,000 children die each day from lack of potable water.
Each year, there are 300 to 500 million cases of malaria throughout the world. About 1 million of these cases result in child death. Approximately 400 million school-aged children are affected by roundworm, whipworm, and or hookworm.
Some of our research questions were, what is poor water sanitation? How many people are affected by waterborne diseases? And how can we help prevent some people from contracting waterborne diseases?
Hypothesis. Raising awareness about the dangers of poor water sanitation will enable us to help pay for water wells in developing countries. Because after educating the students of Fort Concho Elementary, they will donate funds for the wells.
Some waterborne diseases include malaria, a serious disease caused by a parasite carried by certain types of mosquitoes. Typhoid, also known as typhoid fever, is a bacterial infection caused by infesting containing food or water.
Cholera, an acute bacterial infection that, if not treated, can quickly lead to acute dehydration and death. Diarrhea, caused by a variety of microorganisms, including viruses and bacteria, can also lead to dehydration and, in some serious cases, death.
Fluorosis, a serious bone disease caused by high concentrations of fluoride occurring naturally in groundwater. And trachoma, an eye infection spread mainly through poor hygiene caused by lack of adequate water supplies and unsafe environmental sanitation conditions.
Solution. We hosted a change war and raised $300. Donating these resources to Water for All International, a Kipinji water project, will enable us to help pay for the construction of 2 water wells, one in Uganda and one in Kenya. As a result, many families will have access to potable water.
Plan of action. First, we chose our topic, poor water sanitation. Next, we researched with the help of ASU practicum students.
After that, we took a trip to Community Medical Center and spoke with 2 nurses, Mrs. Cindy DeSchutte and Mrs. Nancy White. Mrs. DeSchutte informed us of an opportunity to fund a water well in Kenya.
We then made arrangements with missionaries in Uganda to help fund a water well for a rural farming family in the Tesa region of eastern Uganda in the village of Agule. In order to raise these funds, we facilitated a change war between all the classes at Fort Concho Elementary.
As a result, $300 was raised and will be sent to the Kipinji Water Project and Water for All International to help fund for various water wells in Uganda and Kenya. And finally, we taught students about the dangers of poor water sanitation at the Fort Concho TRIYS. These are some of the implementation pictures that we took during our research project. These 2 pictures here are of Lily and I counting the change to send over to Water for All International and the Kipinji Water Project to help in the construction of 2 water wells. These 3 pictures are of our top classes who had donated the most money for our change board. In fact, our winning classroom, Mrs. Hopkins' class, had donated $75. And this last picture is of our group presenting checks to the Kapinji Project and Water for All International Project to help in the construction of those 2 wells. Water wells. We were able to raise $300. This will allow us to fund a water well in Uganda for $200 and a well in Kenya for only $100.
Conclusion. As a result of our studies, we discovered that poor water sanitation is caused when third world countries do not have a source of potable water. Without resources such as an access to clean water, people in developing countries have an increased risk of contracting these diseases from contaminated water. These facts led us to initiate a change war, which would help us to fund a water well in Kenya and Uganda. Also, these facts inspired us to reach out to our fellow students at Concho Elementary and teach them about the dangers of poor water sanitation.
Mentors, Jessica Tidquist, Bella's mom, got in contact with missionaries in Uganda. Colin and Veronica Rosser, workers in Uganda through Water for All International.
Sandy Speed, my grandmother, and volunteer services manager at Community Medical Center. Cindy Tashuti, risk manager and patient safety officer at Community Medical Center.
And Nancy White, infection control employee at Community Medical Center. These are some of the resources that we used during our research project.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Hoax and all of our mentors for their help. And thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to our presentation. Any questions?
I have a question about the cost of the well. So it only costs $200 for a well in Uganda and then $100 for one in
Kenya?
Kenya? That's not very much, is it?
This change war, what is this change that the students had in their pockets?
It was just loose change that they brought, and we
Loose
actually
change.
we made jars so that they could.
So each day they can drop their change in the jar.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of money. And what length of time?
We gave them about a week.
We should do that again, support another well. $300 a month. That's good.
Give another out of change.
Who came up with this idea to study this
Was
topic?
Jessica.
My mother.
And then why did you like it? Obviously you liked the idea. What made you interested in pursuing this?
We were interested in this idea because at first we were going to have a walkathon, but then we were thinking about ways to save money so that way we could have more money raised and go to the Water for All International and the Kapinji Water Project. And so then my mother came up with the idea of having a change board, so that way we could split up the money for the Uganda water well and the Kenya water well, and those would help fund those 2 water wells instead of having to only go to one project.
I have a comment and a suggestion. One is, I really like your animation between slides. I thought it was really slick. I've never seen that before with the water ripples, and I thought it was really appropriate for the topic. That was just a side comment. But 2, these wells in Africa at $200 and $100 a piece, that seems really within the capability of people to fund. And I was wondering if you thought about asking for either businesses or corporate sponsors or individual sponsors.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.